Headway 5th edition, Advanced Students Book. Class audio by Liz and John Soares and Paul Hancock. Published and copyright Oxford University Press 2019. CD3. 8.1. Are you a typical male or female?
Let's see. Number 1. Oh, yes, definitely female. That's so totally me. I have loads of fabulous girlfriends. Friends I've had since school.
But I do too. All my school and uni male friends go back years.
Yeah, but you can't call you and your mates typical, can you? All that male bonding is kind of rare, don't you think? What about number 2? Oh, now that is absolutely a male thing. You're the original gadget man.
Hey, not just gadgets. I like people just as much as things.
I still think gadgets win for you. And the next 2, names and birthdays. We're both absolutely typical for our sex with those. I'm always the one who remembers birthdays, and you...
OK, I know. I have a real problem with names and birthdays.
What about 5?
Everyone I know just texts these days.
Yeah, I don't think that's a male-female thing. Everyone texts all the time. But I do chat on the phone more than you. There's nothing like a really good chat.
If you say so. What's next? Number 6. Ah, yes. I'm definitely good with numbers. I never have a problem working out percentages.
Me neither. I'm the one who studied maths, remember?
You never let me forget.
And 7 and 8. Oh, spot on. Everyone knows that women are much better at multitasking.
OK, I'll give you that. And I know, very typically I do talk about sport rather a lot.
Rather a lot? Oh, you and your mates never stop. You go on and on.
OK, so we like our sport. Let's look at number 9. Now, come on, you've got to admit you are a lousy navigator. That is surely typical for many females.
I'm not that bad. Anyway, who needs maps? Everyone has sat-nav these days. And moving on, number 10. Yeah, definitely. I'm sympathetic to others and their feelings, so 10 is spot on.
Oh, that's not fair. I'm a sympathetic kind of guy. I understand people's feelings.
OK, you're a nice guy. Oh, but look at 11. You do prefer to work alone and not in a team. But then I do too, actually. I'm not happy in a team, and if I am in a team, I like to lead. Now, on to 12. Oh, I definitely don't do this. I like to talk about stuff that's worrying me, especially with my sister. You know what they say, a problem shared...
Yeah, is a problem halved, I know that. I just don't go around spilling out all my troubles. A typical bloke, I suppose.
Yeah, your mum complains to me that you keep too much to yourself. Anyway, let's add up. How typical are we?
8.2. Defining and non-defining relative clauses. A.
It was the passengers who exhibited prejudice.
I can believe that.
B.
According to Aoife and her sister, who is also a pilot, reactions are more likely to come from passengers.
2 sisters who are pilots. That's got to be unusual.
C.
It's a cultural problem which needs to be tackled at an early age.
What is?
The lack of female pilots.
That's true of many jobs.
D.
Their 2-bedroom flat, which has no garden, felt terribly poky.
I bet it did, especially with twins.
E.
The mum who he was talking to invited him to the pub.
Did she? What would his wife say?
F.
Officials hurried him through what's normally a long and tedious procedure.
Which procedure is that?
Oh, all the stuff you have to do and forms you have to fill in when you're looking for a job.
8.3. Completing sentences. 1,
I don't like children who always interrupt their parents' conversations and whose parents never tell them to be more polite.
2,
The journey from work to home, which is always a nightmare, took over 3 hours yesterday. I'm going to have to change job or move house.
3,
Politicians who make impossible promises just to get elected aren't worth listening to.
4,
The Taj Mahal, which took 22 years to complete, is built from exquisitely carved white marble.
5,
These are the photographs my grandma gave me when she was a young girl with her grandma. So that's my great-great-grandma. Apparently she was called Rosemary.
6,
We docked at the small port on the coast of East Africa, where my parents lived 25 years ago, and where both my brother and I were born.
7,
My cousin, who's afraid of heights, went paragliding at the weekend. I thought he was mad, but he said it was fine, not the same as being on a cliff or at the top of a tall building.
8,
We went on a cycling holiday in Wales, which I really wasn't keen to do, but in fact I had a great time despite the rain.
8.4. Present and past participles. 1,
Flights booked 1 month in advance have a 10% discount.
Booking your flight in advance gives you a better deal.
2,
The new uniforms worn by the pilots looked very smart.
Visitors wearing sleeveless tops will be denied entry.
3,
We took a shortcut, saving an hour on our journey time.
With the money saved from giving up smoking, I'm buying a bike.
4,
Taking all things into account, I've decided to resign.
Taken 3 times a day, these tablets will help your allergy.
5,
I fell on the ice, injuring my wrist.
The boy injured in the car accident is in hospital.
6,
Breaking promises leads to lack of trust.
Broken promises lead to lack of trust.
7,
Giving away secrets won't win you any friends.
Given the chance, I'd love to work in New York.
8,
Growing up in the countryside is healthy for young kids.
Strawberries grown under polythene ripen more quickly.
8.5. Bringing up Max.
Have you seen this? Poor wee mite.
What? Who's a poor wee mite?
This poor kid. He's just a toddler. 1 year old. How can they do this to him?
For goodness sake, who are they and what on earth have they done?
Just look at these pictures.
Yeah, so what are you bothered about? He looks really cute, don't you think? Like his checked lumberjack shirt. And he's got his big sister's pink tutu on, bless him. I remember when our Sam wanted a bow in his hair like Emma, and he loved wearing all those frocks she had for dressing up, especially the Cinderella one. Remember, we thought it was funny, but Emma poured scorn on him.
Oh, yeah, that's what big sisters do, but this is different. Max, he's called Max. He hasn't got a sister. And it seems the pink tutu was bought specially for him. It says here that wearing frocks is all part of his parents' plan to bring him up to be gender neutral.
Gender neutral? He's a little boy. I don't get it. Whatever does it mean?
It's supposed to be a radical new technique for child rearing, where boys and girls are treated exactly the same. His mother, she's called Lisa, says, quote, "We're doing it because gender stereotyping can be so damaging. It teaches little boys to be aggressive." Ugh. Well, all I can say is that I'm glad we didn't know that when we were bringing up our Sam.
Gender stereotyping, eh? Well, I suppose there could just be a point to that.
So, you think our son is aggressive?
Well, of course not. Didn't say that. Sam's a smashing kid. He's full of life. He's your typical happy, energetic, bolshy teenager. It's just that...
It's just what? I mean, it's a ludicrous idea. Max's parents are actively encouraging him to be more girl-like. And they're not just keen for him to wear girls' clothes, but they also want him to play with conventionally female toys, as well as boys' toys. I mean, they're delighted if he wants to wear a pink tutu and fairy wings. And if he decides not to play football and wants to paint his fingernails with glittery polish, they will view it as a form of cute self-expression, it says here.
Why are they doing all this?
They believe it will help boost his confidence.
But how on earth is wearing a tutu a boost to a boy's confidence? But look, you know as well as I do, all toddlers will have a go at anything that takes their fancy. Doesn't matter if it's for boys or girls. They don't care. They're just too young to bow to peer pressure.
Exactly that. You don't have to actively encourage toddlers one way or the other. They just do their own toddler thing.
Let's see this article here. Oh, I remember that as well, don't you? You know that Canadian couple a while back? They made the headlines when they refused to reveal the sex of their newborn baby. They called it Storm and dressed it neutrally so that no one would stereotype it.
Oh, that's awful. I don't mean calling the baby Storm, but calling him or her it all the time. It's not just awful, it's weird.
They said that what they were doing was... quote, a tribute to freedom and choice.
Whose choice? Their choice, not the baby's. It's the same for this boy, Max. It's not his choice. And what about when he goes to school? I mean, what will...
Oh, hey, look, here you are. Yes, just as I thought. Max's parents say that they're planning on home educating Max so that he won't have to wear gender-specific clothes when he starts school.
Oh, no surprise there. Don't you think he's in danger of growing up to be a rather lonely, confused little boy?
That remains to be seen. How long can his parents keep this up, though? And those Canadian parents. I can't believe they can carry on calling their child it forever. I'd like to see into the future. What will these kids be like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, and what will their parents be doing? It's as if they're using their kids as guinea pigs. I don't think it's fair on the kids.
Hi, Mum. Hi, Dad. We won again, and I'm starving.
Ah, there's our flawless offspring. To the kitchen, woman. Feed the boy.
Huh? What's up with you two?
8.6 Dr. Eugene Beresin. Dr. Eugene Beresin, Director of Training in Child and Adolescent Psychiatry at Massachusetts General Hospital.
To raise a child not as a boy or a girl is creating in some sense a freak. The Canadian couple's approach is a terrible idea because identity formation is really critical for every human being, and part of that is gender. There are many cultural and social forces at play. Since the sexual revolution of the 1970s, child development experts have embraced a more flexible view of gender. Before that, the stereotypes of boys were that they were self-sufficient, non-empathetic, tough, and good at war. Girls were trained to be empathetic and caring and more nurturing. But since then, women have become more competitive, aggressive, and independent, and by the same token, men are allowed to cry. We often see hulking football players who are bawling.
8.7 Expressions with just. 1.
Did you hear that? Andy called me useless and inefficient.
Don't worry. He's just as rude to me as you.
2,
A pair of red socks. That's just what I wanted.
Oh, I'm so glad you like them. You can't go wrong with socks as a present. They're always useful.
Yeah.
3,
Can I have mine black with 2 sugars?
Ah, we're just about out of coffee.
Not to worry. Tea will do.
Actually,
4,
Where are you? I expected you hours ago.
I'm just leaving now. I got held up with a conference call. See you soon.
5,
I come in shattered from work and look at the mess. You haven't even washed up the breakfast things.
Just listen to me for once. It isn't my fault. The baby was sick just after you left and I had to ring the doctor. And then...
6,
Did you see that film Fargo on TV last night?
Oh, I couldn't watch it after the first few minutes. I was just terrified.
7,
I've just heard the news. You got that job after all.
I know. I'm thrilled. I didn't hear back for so long I thought they'd found someone else. Then suddenly I was called for a second interview.
8,
Hi, great to see you. Oh, where's Tom?
Tom couldn't come, so it's just me.
Oh dear, you two haven't fallen out again, have you?
8.8. What did you hear? 1,
We're sitting at the back in row 102.
We've had another row about our finances.
2,
That was never him singing live. He was miming.
Live and let live is my philosophy.
3,
Close that window. There's one hell of a draft.
You're not close to getting the answer.
4,
I soon got used to working the late night shift.
I don't trust used car dealers. I'd never buy a car from one.
5,
It's impossible to tear open this packet. Give me a knife.
A single tear ran silently down her cheek as she waved goodbye.
6,
He always looks so content with his lot.
The content of your essay was excellent, but there were rather a lot of spelling mistakes.
7,
The head teacher complained to the parents about their son's conduct in class.
Simon Rattle is going to conduct the BBC Symphony Orchestra this evening.
8,
Could you record the next episode for me? I'm out that night.
He's broken the Olympic world record for the 100 metres.
8.9. Identify the clichés.
Mom, Tommy's fighting with Ryan again.
Oh dear. But I suppose boys will be boys.
Bye, Gran. Jamie and I are off out for the evening. Have a great time. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
I'm thinking of having another tattoo. A scorpion, maybe. Just above where it says I love Mum. What do you think?
It's not for me to say. At the end of the day, it's your decision. You'll have to live with it.
8.10. The next line. 1.
I just came across my very first girlfriend on Facebook.
Oh, I bet that was a blast from the past. Are you going to friend her?
I'm not sure. Looks like she's changed quite a lot.
2.
Larry's failed his exams. Amy's got the chicken pox. Whatever next?
Oh dear, watch out. They say these things come in threes.
I don't want to know that.
3.
Dad,
I've been picked for the school football team. First 11.
That's my boy. Like father, like son.
What do you mean? You only ever made the second 11.
4.
If I offer to pay, she'll say I'm old-fashioned. If I don't, she'll say I'm mean.
Poor you. You'll be damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation.
5.
I got a card from Jerry 1 week after my birthday.
Oh, well, better late than never.
You think so? I'm afraid it's the final straw.
6.
We're having a complete break, a fortnight in the Caribbean. St. Lucia.
Sounds like just what the doctor ordered.
In fact, the doctor did. He said Bill would have a breakdown if we didn't take some time off.
7.
It took me 10 years to build up my business. It nearly killed me.
Well, you know what they say. No pain, no gain.
Yes, but nothing is worth ruining your health for.
8.
I just need to go back in the house and make sure I've turned off the oven.
Good idea. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be worrying all the way through the film.
9.
They've got 10 kids. Goodness knows what their house is like.
Oh, the mind boggles. It doesn't bear thinking about.
Yeah, I've only got 2 and it's chaos most of the time.
10.
Bob's a weird bloke. He's going to live alone on a remote Scottish island for a year.
It takes all sorts.
You can say that again.
8.11. Writing.
The Princess and the Frog. One warm summer's evening, a beautiful young princess, feeling bored and lonely in the grand rooms of the palace, decided to take a walk in the nearby wood. With her, she took her favourite plaything, a golden ball, which she loved to toss up in the air and catch. After a while, she happened upon a shady pool of spring water. So she sat herself down to enjoy the cool and started idly throwing her golden ball high in the air, watching it glint in the evening sunlight. She reached out to catch it, but, dazzled by the brightness of the sun, she missed it and it splashed down into the centre of the pond. Distraught, the princess leapt to her feet and, looking down into the black depths of the water, she began to weep.
Alas,
She lamented.
if I could only get my ball again, I'd give all my fine clothes and jewels and everything that I have in the world.
No sooner had she finished speaking when a frog's head popped up out of the water, and he inquired,
Princess, why are you weeping so bitterly?
Ugh,
she thought.
a disgusting, slimy frog.
But she sniffed and cried,
My golden ball is lost forever in the deep, dark water.
The frog said,
I don't want any of your finery, but if you will love me and let me live with you and eat from your golden plate and sleep on your bed, I will retrieve your ball.
What ridiculous nonsense this silly frog is talking,
thought the princess.
He'll never be able to leave the pond to visit me. However, he may be able to get my ball.
So she said to the frog,
If you bring me my ball, I'll do all you ask.
The frog dived deep into the water, and after a little while he emerged carrying the ball in his mouth and threw it onto the edge of the pond. The princess was overjoyed. She ran to pick up the ball, and without any sign of gratitude or a backward glance at the frog, ran home as fast as she could. The frog called vainly after her.
Stay, Princess. What about your promise?
But she ignored his plea. However, next day, just as the princess was sitting down to dinner, there was a strange noise outside. something was coming up the marble staircase. Then came a gentle knock at the door, and a croaky voice cried out,
"Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here, and mind the words that thou and I said, by the fountain cool, in the greenwood shade."
The princess ran to the door and opened it, and there stood the frog. She had forgotten all about him, and now the sight of him frightened her. She slammed the door in his face and hurried back to her seat. The king, alarmed at his daughter's distress, asked her what was the matter.
"There is a disgusting, slimy frog at the door,"
she said.
"He helped me get my ball back when it fell into the pond, and I promised he could live with me here, but...
The frog knocked again and called out again.
"Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here, and mind the words that thou and I said, by the fountain cool, in the greenwood shade."
The king was an honourable man, and he admonished his daughter.
"If you have given your word, even to a frog, you must keep it. You must invite the frog in."
Very reluctantly she obeyed her father, and the frog hopped into the room, next to the table where the princess sat.
"Lift me onto the chair and let me sit next to you,"
he commanded the princess. As soon as she had done this, the frog said,
"Put your plate next to me, so I may eat out of it."
This she did, and when he had eaten as much as he could, he said,
"Now I'm weary. Take me upstairs and put me onto your bed."
And most unwillingly the princess picked him up and carried him up to her room. She laid him on her pillow, where he slept soundly all night long. Then, as dawn broke, he jumped up, hopped down the stairs and out of the house. The princess sighed with relief.
"Oh, at last he's gone. I'll be troubled no more."
But she was mistaken. For when night came again, she heard the same tapping at the door, and she heard the familiar croaky voice.
"Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here, and mind the words that thou and I said, by the fountain cool, in the greenwood shade."
The princess opened the door, and the frog came in, slept on her pillow as before, till the morning broke. This pattern continued for 3 nights, and the lonely princess became used to his company, and spoke more kindly to him. On the 3rd morning, the frog thanked her for her friendship, and announced that he would be leaving her for good. He asked if she would kiss him goodbye. Still a little reluctant, she closed her eyes tightly and bent to kiss his slimy lips. To her absolute amazement, when she opened her eyes again, she found herself gazing into the loving eyes of the most handsome prince. He told her his sad tale. A wicked fairy had turned him into a frog and cast him into the pond. Only the kindness of a princess for 3 days and nights could save him.
"You,"
said the prince,
"have broken the fairy's cruel spell, and now I have nothing to wish for but that you should go with me to my father's kingdom, where we will marry and love each other as long as we both live."
The young princess was overjoyed. Hand in hand they went together to see her father, who rejoiced at his daughter's happiness. She took her leave of him sadly, but full of excitement, and set out for the prince's kingdom, where they married and lived happily ever after.
9.1 Film music. 1. 2. Three. Four. Five. Six. Nine point two. What kind of film? 9.3 Recommended Reads. Part 1.
Welcome to Recommended Reads. I'm Clive Morrison, and my two guests this week are the philosopher Matt Davis. Hello. And TV cook Rosie Garnett.
Hello.
Rosie, you're going to start us off. Which book would you like to tell us about?
I'm going to talk about You Are the Music. It's by Victoria Williamson, a music psychologist. To be honest, it's an unexpected choice for me, given that I don't consider myself a very musical person. But I heard Victoria talking on another radio programme and found it fascinating, so I decided to read this book.
Presumably it's not for music specialists, then?
No, it's basically aimed at the general public. And besides, she makes the point that we're all far more musical than we might realise. I'm one of those people she talks about who claim to be tone deaf. Apparently, nearly a fifth of the population believe that. But it's unlikely to be true. Less than 4% of people actually are tone deaf. They're called amusics and suffer from a neurological condition called amusia. It seems most people who say they can't sing to save their lives just lack confidence, probably from being told they couldn't sing when they were children.
So there's still hope for you, then?
Well, I'm not banking on getting a recording contract yet, but she reckons that a few singing lessons would sort most people out. Anyway, the thing I'd never thought about before is how musical life is from the outset. That right back when we were babies in the womb, we heard the world as a kind of music with rising and falling sounds and rhythmic beats.
That doesn't mean that babies in the womb can register musical patterns, though, does it?
Well, yes, apparently they can. In one study, they played a relaxing melody twice a day to mothers in the last weeks of pregnancy. They then played that melody to the babies when they were 6 weeks old, while they were asleep, and the babies' heart rates dropped noticeably, showing that they felt more relaxed.
Surely that could have happened even if they hadn't heard it before, though.
They did check for that, and while all babies showed some signs of relaxation when they played the music, the effect was twice as strong with the babies who'd heard it in the womb, so they were recognising it.
Wow, amazing.
And the other thing I hadn't realised was how important musical awareness is to learning a language. And again, that's something that babies register very early. Apparently, babies cry in their own language.
What do you mean?
It's been shown in another study that French babies cry with more rising pitches, whereas German babies' cries have a more of a falling pitch. And that reflects the most common intonation patterns that adult speakers of those languages use.
How funny.
And then you realise how important intonation is for early communication. I mean, just listen to people talking to babies and small children. We call it baby talk. But in the book, she calls it IDS, infant-directed speech. We all do it with babies to some extent, and it is very musical. Big rises from low to high pitch, and a really strong rhythmic pattern. Look who's here to see you! And we do it because babies respond to it so well. They just love it, smiling and giggling away. I realise I still do it with my 4-year-old when I want to communicate something with a lot of feeling. Don't do that! And it's okay, Mummy's here.
So what happens with those people who truly are tone deaf, then? Does that make language learning difficult?
Well, yes, they can struggle to recognise what's being implied by different pitch and intonation patterns. Maybe they can't hear much difference between brilliant and brilliant.
9.4 Recommended Reads. Part 2.
Another thing I could really relate to was what the book says about music and life memories, that different pieces of music become a soundtrack to our lives. As I said, I don't see myself as someone who's especially into music, but if I hear certain songs, they take me back to different periods of my life immediately and very vividly.
Do you think that's true for all periods of your life, even childhood?
Yes, and for that matter, it seems that the earlier you go back, the more powerful the memory. The book emphasises that music plays a very big role in the life of adolescents. Teenage girls in particular say that music is an important way of regulating their moods at a time when emotions do tend to go haywire.
It's an important way of defining what group you belong to, too.
Yes, that's interesting because it's an important way of defining your individuality as a teenager. To say, I'm into heavy metal or soul or rap music. But at the same time, it gives you an important sense of belonging to a group, which adolescents crave. It becomes quite tribal, and most teenagers can't bear the wrong type of music. I love the fact that in Montreal, the authorities were trying to stop large groups of young people hanging around in underground stations, and they eventually hit upon the solution of playing classical music.
Brilliant.
You can also really see the power of musical memory with people suffering from dementia. I checked out some videos about this on YouTube, and it really is incredible. There's this one guy in a nursing home who's completely lifeless, barely speaks to anyone, and he can hardly remember anything about his past life. And yet, if the nurses play some music from his past, he suddenly comes to life. His eyes light up, he starts moving to the music, singing it, and even when it's finished, he keeps talking about all the memories associated with it.
Yeah, I've seen something similar. It seems to connect with something very deep in the brain.
Yes. I learned that there's a bit of the brain called the amygdala, which is linked to our deepest emotional responses, and music has a direct channel to that. That's why film music is so powerful. It can make you cry or feel scared in a way that the film scenes wouldn't do on their own. And after all, someone did once say that essentially music is recorded emotion.
So has it changed your attitude to music, Rosie, reading this book?
Yes, I guess it has. It's made me realise it's never too late to learn to play a musical instrument. So I have a nice fantasy of me playing the piano. And above all, it's made me feel less self-conscious about not knowing much about music. I realise I can enjoy a piece of classical music even though I don't know anything about the composer or the musical form and period it was written in.
Well, you've certainly made me want to read this book. Thank you. Now, Matt, tell us about your book.
9.5 Recommended Reads. Extract.
To be honest, this book is an unexpected choice for me, given that I don't consider myself a very musical person.
Presumably it's not for music specialists, then?
No, it's basically aimed at the general public. And besides, she makes the point that we're all far more musical than we might realise. I'm actually one of those people she talks about who claim to be tone deaf. Apparently, nearly a fifth of the population believe that.
9.6 Star Voices.
Have you been watching Star Voices?
Well, funnily enough, I've just got into it. I caught last week's show and, predictably, I'm hooked.
So, did you see the semi-final last night?
No, unfortunately I was out. But I've recorded it. Was it good?
Well, actually, I was a bit disappointed. Bizarrely, Anna, the blonde girl, didn't get through to the final, even though she was obviously the best by far. Surprisingly, she seemed fine about it, though.
Oh, she was my favourite too. Well, no doubt she'll get a recording contract anyway. Amazingly, her performance from last week has had over 1 million YouTube hits.
9.7 Discourse Markers. 1.
I'd thoroughly recommend that new pizzeria. The pizzas are amazing. Mind you, it's expensive.
2. I can't go skiing so soon after my accident. It's too much of a risk. Besides, I can't really afford it. 3.
Why are you worried about asking Tom to lend you the money? Surely he wouldn't say no to you. It would be very unlike him.
4.
Tina must be upset about not getting promoted.
Actually, she doesn't seem to care that much.
5.
The builders have done the job pretty quickly, given that the weather's been poor.
6.
I think you expect too much of Amy. You need to be realistic about her behaviour. After all, she's still a teenager.
7.
Guess what? Simon's finally got a new girlfriend. Apparently, he met her at a conference.
8.
So, I reckon that's why Petra's looking so happy these days. Anyway, I guess I better be going.
9.
Oh, it would be great if you got into drama school. By the way, have you heard about Robin's plan to move abroad?
10.
We didn't see a single whale or dolphin on our whale-watching cruise. Still, at least the weather was good.
9.8. Have you heard?
Have you heard that Jan is thinking of marrying Simon?
Surely not. She's only known him 3 months, and quite honestly, I'm not sure what she sees in him.
I know what you mean. Mind you, the money must help. After all, he is a millionaire. Where did he get his money from?
Apparently he made a fortune from an app he created. That's what I heard.
I'm surprised he wants to get married, given that he's been married 3 times before.
Actually, I think it's just twice.
Well, you'd think that was enough. Presumably they'll have a huge wedding.
Of course they will. Still, good luck to them. By the way, did you hear that Sarah and Jeff had a car accident?
Oh no! What happened?
It wasn't too serious. They skidded into a tree, but luckily they weren't going fast. The car's a write-off. But at least neither of them was injured.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I should get in touch with Sarah, but I haven't got her new email address.
I can give it to you. As a matter of fact, I've got it on my phone. Let me have a look. Yes. Here it is. I'll forward it to you.
Thanks. Anyway, I must be going. Nice to talk to you.
And you. Bye.
9.9. Complete the lines. 1.
Hello. Your face looks familiar. Have we met before?
Actually, I don't think we have.
2.
I'd like to be famous. All those girls wanting to go out with you. All those parties. Mind you, it must be awful never having any privacy.
3.
We forgot to take the sat-nav with us and didn't have a road map in the car, and, inevitably, we got completely lost.
4.
Yes, it was one of the best matches I've seen, and they deserved to win it. Oh, by the way, are you going to Jeff's leaving do on Friday?
5.
Why has Susan split up with Peter?
Well, basically, she was fed up with him working all the time.
6.
That was such a good film, wasn't it?
And to tell you the truth, I didn't really enjoy it. It was too long and I thought the plot was pretty implausible.
7.
I've just had my blood pressure checked. Alarmingly, it's way higher than it should be.
8.
You can't really make judgments about Maria's work performance at this point. After all, she's only been in the job for a month.
9.
I can't believe that Colin is thinking of buying your old heap of a car. Surely... he's not that stupid.
10.
I'm not keen to go away on holiday next month. I'd like to do some work on the house, and I don't want to be too far away from my parents at the moment. Besides, I can't afford it.
9.10. The night I heard Caruso sing. Complete the lines. 1.
My team are playing tonight. They're rubbish at the moment, so I'm sure they're going to lose.
2.
I didn't find the exam easy. I thought it was really tough.
3.
We should have got a free kick before they scored that goal. It was a definite foul.
4.
We didn't drive back the same way. We took a different route.
5.
Ugh! Keith dropped his burger on the floor, picked it up, and carried on eating it. It was really gross.
6.
I don't mind where we go on holiday this year. You can choose.
7.
After 6 days of constant heavy rain, There were terrible floods.
8.
The apples on that tree aren't ready to eat yet. They taste really sour.
9.
I like fantasy video games because people don't usually fight with guns, they use swords.
10.
My car's broken down. Could you give me a tow to the garage?
11.
Let's visit Jenny in hospital. I'll find out which ward she's on.
12.
That door won't open if you pull it. You have to push.
9.12. Rhyming expressions. 1.
We spent 5 hours on Oxford Street. We really shopped till we dropped.
2.
I can't understand the appeal of a hiking holiday in Iceland. I guess it's horses for courses.
3.
We actually saw all the stars after the film. They were doing a quick meet and greet in the cinema foyer.
4.
No, I did not cheat at all when I beat Jim at tennis. I won fair and square.
5.
Gosh, it's hard to remember how popular this Prime Minister was after the election. He's gone from hero to zero in less than 6 months.
6.
We're not inviting too many people to the wedding, just our nearest and dearest.
7.
You should go to Paris for a weekend if your French is getting rusty. Use it or lose it.
8.
We couldn't get into the bar to buy a drink during the interval. It was chock-a-block.
9.
Derek is full of plans and ideas, but he needs to walk the talk and show us what he can do.
10.
I want to know exactly which companies are avoiding paying tax in this country. They should be named and shamed.
9.13. Sentence stress.
Mum makes cakes. Our mum makes cakes. Our mum makes the cakes. Our mum'll make the cakes. Our mum'll be making the cakes. Our mum'll be making all the cakes.
9.14. Sentence stress. Listen and repeat.
Mum makes cakes. Our mum makes cakes. Our mum makes the cakes. Our mum'll make the cakes. Our mum'll be making the cakes. Our mum'll be making all the cakes.
9.15. Using key words.
Queen's Hall. Help?
Book tickets. Flamenco. Saturday?
Saturday sold out.
Really? Disappointing. Tickets other dates?
Yes, 4 Sunday. Interested?
Yes, great. 2 tickets.
Stalls, circle.
How much circle?
£20. Stalls, £40. Fantastic seats, near stage.
Take stalls. Debit card?
Of course. Card details, number, front.
5610 5910 8101 8250.
Security number, back.
713.
Thank you. Bring card, collect tickets.
Certainly. Thanks, help.
Welcome.
9.16. Stress and intonation.
Queen's Hall, how can I help?
Could I book some tickets for the flamenco concert on Saturday?
I'm afraid the Saturday concert is sold out.
Oh, really? How disappointing. So are there tickets for other dates?
Yes, we've got 4 tickets left for Sunday. Would you be interested in those?
Yes, that would be great. I only need 2 tickets.
Would you like seats in the stalls or the circle?
How much are the seats in the circle?
They're £20. The ones in the stalls are £40, but they're fantastic seats, very near the stage.
I'll take the seats in the stalls then. Can I pay by debit card?
Of course. Could I take your card details? What's the number on the front?
It's 5610 5910 8101 8250.
And the security number on the back?
713.
Thank you. Could you make sure you bring that card when you collect the tickets?
Certainly. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome.